What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you stopping by, spending a few minutes of your time here with me tonight. Tonight, we're going to be doing a trade recap of the trade I took today, Thursday, on the NAS100. All right. And we're going to be viewing the market through the frame of reference that is the master pattern template. All right. I'm going to show you how I was using this frame of reference in order to identify potential setups to trade. Okay. So let's get right into it. We looked at this dump and pump template in the previous video. All right. Now, once this pattern plays out, right here on Wednesday, we take out those highs. This dump and pump has been completed. Okay. We had sort of like a front side, back side thing going on. All right. But once that setup is completed, this price leg right here becomes now a potential front side of a move, okay? Beginning the next master pattern template that's going to take place in this market, okay? So you can see here we're on the front side of this move. We're making higher highs, meaning we are looking for dump and pump scenarios, all right? While we're on the front side, that's the only thing that we're looking to trade, right? Or else you're trading against the trend, right? Now, here we have Thursday. We have all the price action of Thursday before that 9:30 open. All right, this is what you see. Now, when we come to our charts, we see two things on Thursday. We have this high in Tokyo. All right. Now that high in Tokyo could be a potential anchor point, right? Because we put in that high and the market starts to dump. So that could be an anchor point or a target for a dump, coil, and pump 3-session trade, 3-session setup on the day, all right? Or we put in this lower low just before the London session. We call it a lower low, right? It took out the low of the previous day. That's our first lower low potentially on the back side of this market. So if you look at this master pattern template, we would be right here. That would be the very first lower low, alerting us to a potential shift from front side to back side. All right. Now that low that's put in place just before that London session could potentially be an anchor point, right, for a pump and dump type of trade, right? We put in a low, we start to pump, we coil, right, at those London highs, we coil through the gap time into the New York session, right? So we have two options, okay? We're either going to dump and take out those London lows and continue the move on the backside, right, putting in lower lows, or, all right, this market could be doing wacky stuff, right? It could be trying to shake us out, and instead of going low, it's going to go high and take out those Tokyo highs, in which case we would want to see a different type of price action, right? We would want to see the market, instead of coiling at the highs of the London session going into the New York session, we would want to see it coiling near the lows of that London session and going higher, giving us a higher high on the inside and then dumping and pumping, right? So we have a if this, then that type of scenario. If we see this type of price action, all right, then we're inclined to believe that we're going to be taking out those Tokyo highs. Okay. But if we get a different type of price action, we might be expecting this market to dump lower, taking out those Tokyo lows and putting in the next lower low on the backside of the market. You understand? So when we come to our session, okay, you can see where I've denoted the 9:30 candle. That's that spike up towards the high of the session right there at 9:30. That's the open. All right. So you can see here's that potential anchor. This market pumps up. This is our front side of this move, right? Sort of thing. But you can see we sort of just barely go through those London highs going into the New York session. Okay. Now, if you pay close attention, okay, we have our most recent low and our most recent high. Okay, here's our high in London. we are working into the high of this session. All of these pumps here at the high of the session. This is called working the high. 9:30 opens one more time. We pump up into the high of the session, working the high. We're working into that most recent high level again. It's not a specific price point, it's like an area, okay? So we work into that, then this market dumps. We break through this sort of death line right here, okay, and start going lower. And at that point, we are in the market. All right. And here's a closer look at this. And you can see that in the session itself, okay, this market dumps down into that 8 o'clock hour and then starts to pump. So this could be our anchor point for a pump and dump type of trade. Here is our front side of this move. All right, we got our peak formation low, peak formation high. We put in a low right here, fail to go higher, put in a lower low on the inside, breaking these lows right here for a pump and dump type of trade. And for me, as soon as we get through these levels, all right, that's a valid place to enter. But I waited until we started going lower. After we put in that 9:30 candle, I got in on the 9:31 candle. I started getting in as soon as we started going lower than that candle. Okay, it was an obvious type of trade to me. Now, that this is a setup that takes place between two sessions. All right, and then we have in the session a pump and dump master template, master pattern template playing out. Okay, so this is a session, right? In the session or over the course of two sessions. This day, which was Wednesday, all right, this is the example of a 3 session setup. All right, we have Tokyo highs, London lows. These Tokyo highs become the anchor point for the the dump and pump template, right? We have our peak formation high, peak formation low, higher highs put in this market just before the 9:30 open. We're dumping back down. All of those little things where I circled those dumps back down towards the London lows, that's called working the low. If we were working the high, we would be back up towards these Tokyo highs, working into the high of the day for the dump. But that's not what's going on. We are working back into those lows for a New York session dump and pump type of trade on the backside of this move on the day, this 3 session setup, all right? And here's an example. We went over this in a previous video of a 3-hour session master pattern template going on that takes place over the course of 3 hours in the session that you're trading, okay? You can see this market dumps down and puts in this low and begins to pump. Anytime that you see something like that, right, we lock in a peak formation low or we lock in a peak formation high, that can become the potential anchor for this. So here's our peak formation low, peak formation high. This 10 o'clock hour puts in a lower low, right? We break these lows, a lower low on the inside for the pump and dump on the backside of this market or of this move. You understand what I'm saying? Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. It's a lot to take in. Just take your time. Okay, take your time. I'm going to continue putting out videos. We're going to go over this hundreds of times. So don't worry. Okay. Now, this is the actual trade that I took so you can see where I'm entering. I'm entering as soon as we start going lower than that 9:30 candle. I was in the market. I layered my position. I actually put 4 positions in to this trade. All right. I was sizing in to this trade because it was so clear to me. All right. And then I got out of it. I'm taking about 50 pips out of this market. All right. And then getting gone, locking in the profit and getting out of there. Right. Anyway, man, until next time, I hope you continue to free your mind.